ネコネイビー。難易度を選んでね。
Fruit at Factory's Neko Navy is the latest shmup on Switch to be given the physical treatment, this time by First Press Games, and with pre-orders for said physical having just opened last week, I've seen a few people wondering if this is worth picking up, so I thought now would be the perfect time to answer that question. If I had to sum up Neko Navy in 2 words, they would be simple and brilliant. And those 2 words extend to almost every aspect of the game, from gameplay to visual design to sound and even the UI. The game sees you take control of one of 5 cat or cat-related characters and 1 fish, the majority of whom need to be unlocked through play, and you glide your way through 7 main stages, 1 for each day of the week, on a quest to, well, I don't know quite what, but it takes you through many weird and wacky and wonderful places, and the journey you and your feline friend will go on is an absolute delight start to finish. That delight begins with the visuals, which, like so much about the game, appear simple but are actually quite brilliantly done. Your character and many of the enemies have big, chunky, cartoony sprites, although your hitbox is just the glowing circle where your heart would be, and this allows each to fully display their personality using either their giant, goofy expressions or styles of movement that somehow manage, almost Cuphead style, to be both threatening and jaunty at the same time. Backgrounds are similarly cartoony and bold, and each stage has a highly distinct theme that carries over into the designs of the enemies and each boss as well. Arguably even more delightful than the visuals, however, is the pure pop bliss of the soundtrack. Each stage's tune is unique, immediately identifiable, fitting to its stage, and will have wormed its way deep into your skull, and if you're anything like me, your affections, after about 5 seconds. This, by the way, is all the more impressive because this is not remotely the sort of music I usually like or listen to, and it's testament to how infectiously brilliant the music is that I would happily sit drifting through stages just to listen to the tunes. Accompanying that tunage are expertly worked sound effects that manage to imbue the characters and the game as a whole with bags of personality, while also providing key information during stages as to various effects and status changes that occur as you play. Which brings us nicely to the key question: how do you play? Well, as mentioned, the systems are simple and brilliant. Each cat has just 1 shot, unique to each, and these cover the usual range of spread shots, straight and powerful shots, and in the case of the fish, a close range sword swipe attack. These shots can be powered up by picking up giant P icons, but of more importance than that are the accompanying bomb attacks, with each character again having their own very unique bomb, ranging from a completely screen-covering interlace of lasers to a more localized green fireball, or in the case of our sword-wielding friend, no bomb at all. Despite this seeming simplicity, the game employs a couple of interesting twists. Most notably, bombs are not collected and kept in a stock, but are used then constantly replenished during play. Killing enemies releases blue cat spirits, and picking these up fills a meter around your cat. When this completes, a bomb can be unleashed. This meter can fill pretty rapidly in busy stages, and you can easily find yourself having deployed double-figure numbers of bomb attacks by stage end. Something there's no reason not to do, since you can't get extra or more powerful bombs by holding onto the attack. Further to this, bombs are great for scoring, as enemies and shots destroyed by a bomb attack turn into yellow cubes, which are the best way to rack up scores at speed, and on the harder difficulties, if you can manage to pull it off, it is possible to enter cycles of almost constant bomb detonation, bonus point collection, bomb replenishment followed by bomb detonation that will see you zipping up the rankings. Doing this, however, is in no way easy, and make no mistake, despite the kawaii aesthetic, this is an intense and thrilling experience, and very much located in the bullet hell end of the spectrum, with boss fights seeing the intensity crescendo to just the right level in encounters that often offer equal amounts of both challenge and amusement. The in-stage intensity is only dialed up even further, by a bravery mechanic which rewards courage by granting larger amounts of cat spirits when enemies are taken out at point blank range. There's also, despite the lazy drifting poses of some of the cats, a constant sense of velocity and a lovely flow to the game's progression, with enemies arriving in well-timed rhythmic sequences that rarely leave you feeling either bored or overwhelmed, but keep you always on your toes. With 3 well-judged difficulty levels, however, the game ought to offer a suitable experience for anyone. Extends are granted every 100 million points, which sounds a lot but can be reached quite quickly, and the game increases the number of continues you have available the more you play. This means almost anyone ought to be able to at least see the game through to the end on an easier difficulty, while going for a 1cc, or even to be perfectly honest, a clear of any sort on death difficulty, will provide even the most battle-hardened a challenge, with the bullet density being dialed up to 11 in the latter stages. Although one unfortunate side effect here can be some rather drastic slowdown that I think is unintentional. Outside of the main game, there are a couple of dozen achievements to unlock, leaderboards, which unfortunately are local only, a very welcome training mode that lets you jump into any stage, and best of all, an infinity mode that sees you taking on endless waves of enemies across an ever-changing set of backgrounds that are all distinct from any of the main stages. Worth noting here too that the music track for this mode manages impressively to remain refreshing despite looping for an, in theory, infinite length of time. And even though I have sat many times repeatedly jumping into this mode immediately upon death, I never once felt anything less than elated to hear those opening bars again. Something you may well notice as you scroll through the achievements is that the game also contains several hidden bosses, routes and stages, and together with the fact that you need to unlock the majority of playable characters, this gives players a host of things to do and plenty to keep them coming back time and time again. In relation to this, a final point to mention here is that I went back to the game for this review to gather footage, and while sometimes that can be just a quick play to get what's needed, picking up Neko Navy again was more of a rediscovery, and despite having spent many hours with the game when first purchased, I was immediately drawn right back in and had been playing long after I'd collected 2 or 3 times the amount of footage I'd need for any review. And that to me says everything about this title. It is just so eminently playable and lovable, it's hard not to get sucked in every time you pick it up. So should you pick up this new physical of the game? For me, the answer is a resounding yes. I sat on this one for far too long, and big thanks to all of you who kept bringing it up in the comments of my videos, because having finally taken the plunge, I discovered one of the absolute gems this system has to offer. I'd give Neko Navy a 9 out of 10, and if you are in any way a collector or have any interest in physical shmups on Switch, this should be right at the top of the pile of games you need to add to your collection. Fruit Bat Factory actually have a few more shmups available on PC, and I'd love to see them bring them over to Switch. Hopefully this game and its physical will perform well enough to convince them we want them, and if they're anywhere near as good as this, we'll be in for an exciting time indeed. Do let me know what you think of this one. It's been out for a while, so I'd imagine a lot of people have played it already, and may be tempted to, like me, double dip for the physical. As ever, thank you very much for watching. Hope to see you next time. Cheers.